I'd say that I've mostly covered my favorites so far with this, but one of the other things that I wanted to see between version 7.5 and version 8 was a little bit more advanced notation of piano, because I'm a piano player. I feel like it can be very useful to piano players if they know it's a tool for piano. Because even in the classical world, there's still paywalls on public domain stuff, and that's neither here nor there. But like people are paying to do classical stuff anyway, so there's a market for it, as I guess what I'm arguing. But I have transcribed a great deal of piano stuff with this tool, just honing my own skills. So I've transcribed Scott Joplin, Maple Leaf Rag. I did a version of that. You'll see it further back on my channel, where I took a piano player role that was allegedly Scott Joplin, and I took the sheet music of Scott Joplin and rewrote the sheet music to match that player piano role. And there were a lot of things missing from it that weren't in the like official sheet music. I don't know if it was just notated like that inside. I have no idea. But they are completely different performances. So I notated that with piano, but I've also since then notated a lot of Chopin stuff that I personally want to learn and want to get better at. And I know some of them, but I could know more. And I wanted to see it interactive, and I wanted to hear it through a transcribing software so that I could hear what do these syncopations sound like without rubato of Artur Rubinstein's interpretation, or Vladimir Ashkenazy, or Yuzha Wang's interpretation, because they're playing it how they feel. But when I need to learn this, I want to learn it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 at that steady sort of tempo, so that I can get a grasp of how the song works. And so I transcribed a lot of piano into Guitar Pro probably December of this year, or last year. Oh, that's not it. I tell you what, when I put it on Squarespace for sale, I'm done with it, apparently. Where did I put these? Okay, so let's take all these .gp files. So this is like the whole suite of Chopin stuff that I retranscribed. And so these I transcribed. Like, I didn't finish any projects during the alpha test, because I didn't want to mix up work with like something that was still under wraps. I didn't know when this was going to be published. So I've not published anything yet in GP8. So these all these sort of Chopin stuff, I did this in 7.5. But you see, it looks pretty even right here. There's no complaints with crowding. But there were some issues that I ran across transcribing this in 7.5 that I can now fix with GP8. So this is solving a problem for me, which is what technology is supposed to do. So it does save me time. It does solve a problem for me, and I'll explain that in just a second. My recording's about to cut off. GP8 is solving some problems that I ran across when I was transcribing these in 7.6. So, like, I will be going back and making sure that I've represented these properly, because they could sound a lot better. So there is a notable difference in how you can notate for piano. The biggest thing I would say, the two biggest things for, like, I wish this was included. Maybe it isn't, I'm not seeing it, but one of the things that I had issues with when I was trying to transcribe the piano stuff into Guitar Pro was, like, when you do the, like, hand crossover kind of stuff, compared to, like, traditional classical sheet music, in those kind of things, you can actually change from, like, bass clef to treble clef mid-measure in the way that classical was notated back, like, 1930s or earlier than that we still use those documents today. Like, if you Google search Chopin, like, Fantasy Impromptu or something like that, and you pull up, like, this old scanned sheet music PDF of it, it's very likely a file from 100 or so years ago. And so this is what I'm comparing this to. I'm not comparing it to, like, a finale version, but yeah, like the ability to kind of notate crossover between fingers, which is a very common thing with piano. That's something I would like to see maybe in an upgrade, or maybe in a later version of Guitar Pro that I don't think is there yet. They, I'd love for them to speak up if it's already there. I'll probably squeal like a little girl. But the other thing is I left fingerings out when I was doing these because the fingerings available to me through Guitar Pro were like PMAC, which is, like, I don't know the names, but like, these fingers. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, T. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, T. And then PMAC. And there's like other options, but they're all guitar related. Whereas for piano, your fingerings are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that wasn't available, so I just left fingerings out entirely. But also, in piano, you very commonly, especially classical music, you're using the pedal function a lot. And so that needs to be included in the sheet music. And as you can see, I've, like with piano notation, you have 2 different text boxes because you have 2 different stabs of music. So in your treble clef, you can like press T, and then you get your text box above the music, and you can put that, you can hang that anywhere that you have a note. So it has to, your text boxes have to be attached to a note or a rest. They won't just exist freestanding. So just FYI, hopefully that speeds up your transcription for you. But so anyways, over the bass clef text, you see I had to put ped, which is just like the pedal command. The new version of Guitar Pro 8 now has a pedal option. So let me click it right here so you see. And that's what it should look like. It should be like that script sort of design with an asterisk beside it. And it basically has the same functionality as the let ring command for guitar players. So as far as the program would understand it, that's all it's doing. So like, I didn't code any of this, but I would venture to say that it's basically telling the program that. But from a feet on the ground perspective, as a piano player, just telling somebody to let ring doesn't quite make sense, because you don't know, like, if you just let ring and then you like take your foot off the pedal, your fingers have to stay there. They can't go anywhere. Like, it doesn't just let ring like an open string on the guitar does. So having that differentiated from the let ring command, which can also apply to piano, but is more like a guitar player, like a stringed instrument kind of thing, as opposed to a percussive instrument, which a classical piano is technically, while it has strings, it's considered more of a percussive instrument, I think, more technically, because of the hammer system. But yeah, having the pedal command is a big deal. Having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for your fingerings is great. So I would say, as of this update, you can properly use this for piano transcription and it not be lacking. I just feel like professionally that gives you so many more options for such a decent price, Like, yeah, you see how like this staff has room that I could drag it over, but the bottom one doesn't. Okay, that I'm not too stoked about. Like, I can't really just find my place after zooming in and out as easily. That, maybe it's just operator error. There we go. Okay. Confirmed operator error. Yeah, so I should be able to yeet. See, like, there's things like that, like, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And then you can just like drag that bottom one to make it more even. So happy little fast notes.